Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. I pray that you've been blessed, honored, and highly favored, and you'd allow all of the great things that want to flow into your life to actually flow freely and without force or control. Um, Today I want to get into the smoke of intuition versus normal thought. Something that has been um I've always listened to my intuition, sometimes without even realizing it, but it's always sometimes in those moments where the thoughts in your mind get louder. Sometimes those thoughts are attached to fears or, wanting control or trying to figure out the outcome versus just trusting what your intuition, which is your heart, feels. Um, First to start off, I'm gonna say how God has helped me learn the difference between the two. And it's been put into my heart to share this information because you never know who else is out there battling the difference between um, the intuition, which is linked to your heart, which is godly, which your intuition is your inner guide, point blank. While your thoughts can tend to be linked to, old traumas, it's linked to the ego. Um, your humanness. And as beautiful as your humanness may be, completely through and through, your humanness is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, that's linked to the flesh, and sometimes the flesh does not always serve you. um, the desires of the flesh do not always serve you, based versus your inner God, your intuition is always going to serve your highest purpose versus your flesh is going to serve usually temporary desires. So to get into what intuition is, first and foremost, let me say intuition is not only a woman's thing. Men have intuition too. Men's intuition is usually buried underneath pride, ego, um, performance, or proving or trying to be that man to the world, which you can still be a man and listen to your intuition. But like I said, that proving and that performance of being a man to the world is usually holding up others or feeling responsible for others to the point where you can't always listen to yourself, or you choose not to listen to yourself. Like I said, sometimes it can be pride or ego, not wanting to appear a certain way or be vulnerable or be or do this because you're not sure how so and so is going to take it, those type of things. While for women, it's usually buried underneath shrinking. I can relate to this fully, not being too much, not being a burden. Like sometimes your intuition can tell you to leave a job or leave a situation. Actually, using myself for example, not long ago, well, it's been some months, actually, some months ago, but I don't even want to say some months ago. It started last year in 2025. God was putting in my ear, like in the smallest way. Like it wasn't something that was loud. Intuition is not loud. That the job that I was working no longer served the purpose in my life, and it was time for me to expand outside of that. Now, when I was listening to this, of course, there was two sides of me, the intuition and the thoughts. The thoughts were like, well, what about income? What about the security? What about the control? You know when this is going to be paid, and you know that when this day is your payday. Like, what about all of that? And the intuition was just calm and like, you're good. This job no longer serves you. It has served the purpose it was meant to serve for the amount of time it has. It's time to move on and expand to what God has for you next. It was always coming clear. But what was also adamant at that time last year, God was saying, listen to this, but it is not the time to act now. So sometimes with intuition speak to you, sometimes it starts speaking to you in a very low tone to where it's not like, okay, you need to do this now. You'll feel when it's in like a now situation. I'm going to get to that too. Um, But it wasn't like a you need to do this now. It was more like a okay, let it sit in your heart and let it grow. And when the time comes, you'll know. So I did. But it kept coming to my ear. But I was still like, it wasn't to the point where I was like, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the job or anything. It was just it no longer served me. I was working from home. It was very peaceful. Um, being there for years and years, I was great at it. So it was like second nature. So at the time, I was like, okay, God, this is starting to serve its purpose. I feel it, but I'm going to sit with it. It wasn't meant for me to act at that time. It didn't come till this year, about I would say a year later, exactly around some months ago, where it became so. I don't even want to use the word loud because intuition is not loud, but it is persistent. The thoughts are loud, your fears are loud. The fear of what's next after that was screaming at me too, but it became less, it wasn't screaming anymore like it did in 2025. It was just like a thought. And that was because of the self trust I had built within myself so that I can listen to my intuition and know the difference between when it's a fear based thought and when it is um when your intuition, your heart is speaking, your soul is speaking. So I would say May is when it started to get a little bit more of a this isn't for me. You can tell when something's no longer for you. For example, like when your intuition speaks and you ignore it, because I was ignoring it a little bit, but I was meant to ignore it at that time because God was showing me more evidence of what happens when you kind of don't listen to your intuition. It wasn't even a right or wrong thing. It was like whenever you don't listen to it at that moment and how uncomfortable it can make life feel. So when I was still, waking up, doing a do, it became almost unbearable. It became like waking up was a chore. And it wasn't because I was waking up and I'm a morning person. So I work morning hours naturally. It wasn't that. It was waking up and knowing that that was what I had to do. And it started to like weigh down on me mentally, physically, and emotionally. Like it took so much out of me and drained me, even though I was just working from home, a desk job. Like it wasn't like a physical. You just know when something no longer serves you because it starts to drain you. It can be a person, it can be a place, it could be a thing. When that thing or person or place start to drain your energy, that's usually, well, that's always your body letting you know, okay, this no longer serves my soul. The flesh is doing this, but the soul isn't into it. So June came, and one day I was just sitting there now, and it was just like putting your 2 weeks notice. And June was my birthday month, so I had a lot of vacation days. Like I was on vacation pretty much the whole month, and I had put those in like the year before, so those would still stand even with my 2 weeks notice. But so I was good. So like I didn't even like when I put in my 2 weeks, I only really had to work that day. And I think there was one more day that I had to work, but I called in sick. My old manager, she was like, "Okay, so this is what you need to do," because they loved me up there. So she told me what to do. Shout out to her. So that I could still get paid. So yeah, I was still paid those time frame. But even then, when I put in my 2 weeks notice, I didn't know if my those vacation days would stick. And it still felt so peaceful in my heart. God was like, "You don't need to worry about finances. You're good. I got you." Like, and even if the vacation days wouldn't have stick to paid days, I still would have put in my 2 weeks. Like I was still doing it because in my mind it was like, okay, those null and void, but God is telling me to leave this job today. Today. So I found out that it wasn't going to be a 2 weeks. It was more going to be like a quitting. It is what it is. God was like, okay, this is something you need to do now. I said, okay, God, you got it. You got it. The fear had weight. The fear was buried underneath my heart at this point. It was buried underneath the what ifs or what's gonna happen or what's next. All that was still there. That was still there. But it was like here. And then like the rest of me was like, yes, you're good. Do it. So I listened to it. And it was the best decision I ever made. One of them. I'm glad I listened to myself. I'm glad I listened to God. So, but to say all of that is to say you're still going to have like those underlying thoughts, but it's important to know the difference. Because had I not realized the difference, if God didn't show me over this past year the difference between my intuition and my thoughts by experience, then I could have credited those thoughts of saying, well, no, we don't know what's going to be next. We need control. We need to know this, that, and the third before we do this. We need to know step 10 before we take step one. If I listened to all of that, then I would have still been there and it would have still been draining my soul and I wouldn't be serving the purpose that I am today. So, you know, that's that. But to get into the difference between your intuition and your thoughts, your normal thoughts, the ego, the heart versus the ego, the intuition versus the mind. Um, Starting with intuition. I even wrote it all down. So like I said, I had this come to me at like 1 or 2 in the morning to speak on this. Um, your intuition is calm. It's not going to talk over you. Your intuition is your inner guide. And if you notice, God does not talk over you. When you pray, it's important to create time for meditation because prayer is talking to God while meditation is listening. And oftentimes, a lot of people do not create that space, that sacred space, like putting the phone down, putting the TV, turning the TV off, sitting in nature, or just sitting in the couch and just being with your own self and just focusing on your breathing or just the moment, the present moment. That's when you hear yourself the loudest, when you're alone. Um, so yeah, your intuition is calm. It's not loud and it's not urgent, but it comes through persistently. It doesn't change its mind. Like when I found out a year ago that this job had served this purpose, I was like in like what year 7. Um, it wasn't loud, it was calm, it was foreign. Let me say that. It is scary and foreign sometimes. But yet no, I won't even say it's only scary when you first hear it because it's not something that you're used to. You know, your mind, you can almost predict what your mind is gonna go in circles about all day. But I was just sitting there chilling one day and that thought just came in. It came in as a feeling and then it went to a thought. But sometimes you can perceive it as a thought, which is fine too. They can go hand in hand sometimes, which is why it's crucial to know the difference. But it came in, it just slid in so gracefully, but it was so clear. And I was like, huh, there's that. And yeah, like it's not, let me get my points because, like I said, when you're letting people know the difference for sure, this is what God put in my heart to share. Intuition, not loud, it's calm, it's your inner God. It won't talk over you. God will not talk over you, like I said. Um, it's calm even when the message is scary or foreign. Like I said, it's not every day you just get the well. Some people want to quit their job every day, but sometimes that's the flesh. Sometimes that's just you just being sleepy that day. But like I said, it's a difference. Sometimes your soul is calling out to you, and sometimes it's just the flesh. But in this moment, it was my soul. Um, it's like I said, even when it's scary or new, foreign, it still feels calm. It feels so clear. It feels like, well, yeah, like like it was always in your heart and mind, but it just came up. Verses, but I don't even want to do the verses yet. I'm just gonna focus on the intuition only. Um, when you do not listen to it, it creates discomfort. That is one of the biggest signals of it. Like versus like when you act on it, you feel lighter, or when you decide that you want to act on it. Because some things take, more time than just like you know, um, when you decide you want to act on it, it feels lighter. Like your even your mind kind of just stops fighting it. because you have collectively decided, okay, I'm going to side with my heart. It is freeing when you do that, because when I did not listen for the, like, I would say, for like the end of May, like I said, I quit in June. The end of May, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. But I was still holding on to that fear of the unknown. I needed control in some type of way. I needed to know. And so I decided to side with that. I was like, you know what, God, I'm going to sit with it for a little longer. I'm going to see if it changes. I'm going to see how I feel. The discomfort grew. Waking up having to do it felt more painful every single day. And it's like the moment I clocked out, the weight was just lifted off of me every single day. And I was like, well, God, you're making it very clear this no longer serves me in any way. To the point where the day came where it was just like, it's time. And I was like, okay. um, Intuition don't need justification. If you notice, your mind goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth every time. It don't matter what it is. It can be you deciding what you want to eat that day. Like sometimes I know what I want to eat, but the mind was be like, well, what if you want to do this? And it's like, okay, yeah, that's great too, but I already decided. The mind is going to always go back and forth. It is literally something that does not stop. It is the one thing you can escape in life, and it is the one thing that does not stop. The mind is going to keep going. So when you realize that, you start to know the difference between when it's your heart speaking and you just your thought just going, your subconscious just going and going and going and going. So yeah, like it don't need justification. Like you can find ways to justify it in your mind. You can go back and forth with what your intuition has said and just analyze it. That's normal. We're human, but when you're doing that, it the feeling never goes away. It just is like, okay, I'm gonna sit here while you try to sort it out, but I said what I said. That's pretty much what it is. Um, it shows up in your body and then it goes to the mind. Now, this is something that um was was happening so quickly with me that I couldn't tell the difference. Your intuition shows up in your body first. Sometimes it can be a chill, sometimes it can be a little bit of a heart flutter, but not like a nervous feeling. Sometimes it can be like, let's say if you're in an environment or a new environment, and you're vibing at first and whatever, or some extra people come around and these people may not have the best energy or your best heart and interest. That's gonna show up in your body first. Sometimes it can just be like a, like, everyone's feelings are different. Mine definitely shows up in my body first. My somatic intuition is strong. My body knows things before my mind do all the time. So I always trust my body now. And at first I used to live in my mind, but now I live solely in my body. So I'm able to tell, like, that chest constriction, like that chest tightness you feel where you can't relax, or your breathing becomes irregular. Just like your body speaks to you consistently all day, every day. I don't care if it's a headache. That's another thing too. Headaches happen for me whenever something isn't in alignment. Um, that's your intuition. And then it comes to the mind, you need to leave. Or this person, you need to cut this person off, or you need to leave this job, or whatever it is. It comes through. Now the mind's gonna sometimes go back and forth. Like if you're at an event, you're like, but I was just having so much fun. What happened? Like I want to stay. I want to. But the heart is like, nope. Your body's like, nope, nope. You need to get on up out of here. You need to get on up out of here. It's been times that has happened to me, and like moments later, a fight broke out, or like moments later, something happened to where the cops called, and it may not even been a big situation. But sometimes when the cops come in situations when you're out having fun, everyone's trying to leave at once. That creates more traffic. Traffic creates more like you're being saved from something. Or sometimes God may just want you to go home because you may be avoiding someone that may be out drunk driving, and you may be avoiding that's an accident. Like you don't know what your intuition is saving you from. You just have to trust it. So yeah, it shows up in the body first and then the mind. The mind is where sometimes it can stop because some people that live in their head, which is who I'm, former overthinker. Sometimes overthinking happens, but I know how to catch myself, self awareness. Former overthinker, former person that had anxiety. I had my meditation cured my anxiety and ADHD. I used to have extra tabs open in my mind, anxiety on 10 about the future because I needed control. So please understand when I say if you like someone that lives or lived in your head, whether if it's something present tense or past tense, I got you. I feel you. So don't think I'm not speaking from experience here. Trust me. Former ADHD and anxiety, right here. All the tabs that open in my mind is what kept me sometimes from listening to my intuition. So I had to handle that, you know? Um, like I said, does not change over time. If anything, it gets stronger. It does not change over time. Your intuition does not change its mind. It doesn't say, well, no, no. If you hold off on it, if you keep trying to push it back, what your heart is telling you, if you keep trying to ignore your heart and your intuition, it's just going to get stronger. It is persistent. Yes, it is calm. No, it is not loud all the time. But if you ignore it long enough, it may get loud because God gonna give you signs. He's gonna give you feelings. He's gonna keep putting it in your heart. It's up to you to listen, but he's not gonna speak over you forever. I will say that the moments are gonna pass. Time waits for no one. So it's crucial to know when you are kind of just sitting under a tree contemplating and when it's time to act. So yeah, it's not going to change over time. It's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger until you just continue to find yourself in a loop. And it's up to you to take yourself out of that loop and just act on what God is telling you. Um, oh, Something to ask before I move on to the mind, what a normal thought is versus intuition. What to ask if you find yourself like knowing something is possibly like your heart speaking, but your mind is still getting in the way. Ask yourself, is this decision that has came through my intuition, is it pulling me towards expansion? Is it something that's exciting even though it's new and scary? Or is it, or am I listening to the mind? And is it like, is the mind taking me back based on contraction and fear and the what ifs? We don't know the future. Living based off what ifs leaves you with regrets because you can't figure it out. You're not going to figure everything out. It may be a what if that actually happens, but instead of thinking of what if everything goes wrong, what if every freaking thing works out? Perspective. So, yeah, if you're a what if person, if fear holds you back from listening to your intuition a lot, it is crucial to change the perspective of it. If you're going to always think, what if, babes, you have no control. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen when I get up from this chair after recording. I just go with the flow. You have to understand that you hold the power by saying you either can or you can't. That either this does work out in my favor or it don't. Either way, you co-create your reality. So yeah. Another question to ask after asking, is it leading me towards expansion or contraction? Is it excitement? Is it fear that's holding me back? The second question, would you still have the feeling alone without the outside opinions, without the external validation, and without the what ifs? Does the feeling still sit with you? Is it still telling you, yes, do it or no, don't do it when you're alone? When you're not distracted, when you're not scrolling, when you're not lost in overthinking, is it still there? That's when you know that that's God speaking to you because you've silenced the outside noise. Silencing that outside noise is what makes the intuition get louder. So, is it still there? Is it still weighing in your heart? If it is, babes, that's God talking to you. Okay. Next we have the mind. The difference between what your mind, your thoughts, and your ego looks like. Because your mind is attached to your ego, your heart is attached to your intuition, your inner God. Your thoughts are loud, they're fearful, they change over time. Like I said, you can wake up wanting yogurt. Like I want me some yogurt, fruit, granola, and berries when I'm done here. I already ate a hot breakfast. Now it's time for my little lunch. No, I could easily go back and forth and be like, no, I want oatmeal, or no, I want a sandwich, or no, I want to go somewhere. Like the mind is always going to be like, but my heart is saying, no, I want fruit, I want yogurt, I want granola. But the mind is going to be like, well, what if we do this? Like I said, the mind is always going to go in circles. It is always going to debate. Think of the mind as the debate team. That's what it is. So it changes over time. It argues with itself. The difference between the intuition and the mind argues with itself and it changes over time. It's loud, it's fearful. The intuition is calm. It does not talk over you. It's persistent, but it's it's not talking over you. It's not attached to fear. Like it don't need justification while your mind is gonna go back and forth, back and forth. Um, the mind tries to make sense of everything logically. Baby, logic needs to be thrown out the window when it comes to life. Well, not fully, of course. um, but you know what I mean. Like everything in life is not logical. And at one point, I'm a book girl. I'm a nerd. So me realizing that was like, what? Why can't I explain this? Why can't I explain this synchronicity? Why can't I explain this feeling? Everything is not meant to be understood. Everything is not meant to be put underneath a magnifying glass. Everything is not meant to be the universe. We're floating on a rock in the middle of space. Nothing makes sense, but everything makes sense at the same time. Nothing matters. So, yeah, like you're going to try to make it make sense. It won't always, but just trust your heart. Yeah. um, like I said, the mind always debates. Um, your thoughts are always attached to evidence of what you've seen or what you've been through. So let's say you've gone through a heartbreak and it's been some time and you're contemplating getting in a dating lane again. The mind is going to be like, well, no, because what if this happens, or what if I don't, what if I get hurt, or what if blah blah blah. When the heart is like, you know what, I've healed, I'm ready to love. Life comes with pain, life comes with joy, life comes with all of it. I can't control it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm ready to experience it. That's me at this point of life. I'm ready to experience. I don't care. I'm not looking for the outcomes. I'm just here for the ride. Like I'm not going to live here forever. And not even just with love, this goes for anything. Like life is meant to be lived, not to be sitting back and like, well, I don't want to do this because what if this happens? You're going to be sitting there forever, not having fun, not experiencing, not enjoying it. So yeah, your thoughts are tied to your fears. It's tied to you needing that control. Like when I was contemplating leaving the job, uh, when I was contemplating leaving the job, it was a constant, okay, what about this? What about that? What about your security? What about you just knowing? It was like, okay, what if you just went part time? Or what if you just put in your 2 weeks, but you still like just, it was always just like me needing to know the outcomes, needing to know the control, me not just trusting that God, walking by faith and not by sight. Because when your heart speaks to you, that is God speaking to you, and God is not going to leave you astray. God is not going to sit you, have you make a decision and have that decision make you fall on your butt. No, no. Your heart, when you're listening to your heart and you like you put it down the flesh, the fears, and you just listen to God and act on it, God loves to reward you trusting your intuition, because that's you quite literally listening to God, your inner God. So those fears that need to control those what ifs, you're human. You're going to have those things. Of course, it's decisions I make now. Even with my intuition and my clairaudience, all of the clairs being so strong, it's still moments of doubt and fear that I have. I'm human. That's never gonna go away. The point is to balance that humanness in your inner God. Know when it's your inner God speaking, and know when it's fear and oh, because like your mind and your body, it holds on to the trauma. So it's normal for you to be like, well, I wanna listen to my heart when it's saying this, but what if this happens? Like I said, you can't control the future. You don't know the outcomes, but God is not gonna lead you down a path that does not serve you. It's impossible. It may not make sense at first, but it always leads you exactly where you are meant to be. And that's what I had to realize for myself. Like the way I just wake up and just give it all to God now. Like I don't care what it is. I don't let fear, worry, or doubt get my energy anymore, because God is, and even then, like I don't even need the evidence to trust God, but God has showed me time and time and time and time and time again that I am divinely protected. I am divinely provided for. I'm divinely loved and supported and guided. So I just surrender. I get this experience for free. I get to experience life for free as with my inner God as a human. All God asks in return is for us to surrender and to not have to control everything. So you know what, God, you got it. I just want to sit on a roller coaster and let the roller coaster take me wherever it's gonna take me next. I'm gonna have fun because I love me a good roller coaster. But well, not later in life. I like peace, but you know what I mean. Um, Mind, your thoughts, your ego is usually driven by outside noise and opinions. Blah, 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 blah. Those outside opinions that lead you away from what your heart is clearly telling you will have you stuck every single time. Now, of course, you can break the cycle at any point and let go of the external noise and actually listen to yourself, of course. But it's so many people out here that are worried about making the next step because of what people are going to think. People are going to talk to the day you die. And then after that, live for you. Make your decisions for you. Listen to God, because everyone's path is differently. Your path is not meant to be perceived or judged by others. Will they still perceive ways or on it? Yes. Will they still judge it? Yes. But that's not your problem. What Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks is not your problem. Listen to your intuition. That is your inner God. I don't care if it's telling you to cut this person off. I don't care if it's telling you to leave this job. I don't care if it's telling you to move out of this city. God is leading you. People are going to have their opinions. People are going to have their thoughts. People are going to talk. Just look at social media. Just look at social media. Social media is literally a war in the comments. You can say, I like apples. Someone in the freaking comments is going to say, well, what about oranges? What about pears? You don't like this? Why apples don't even taste good anyway? Which color apple you like? They're going to say something. 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 They're going to say something. Everyone is going to have an opinion. You cannot let opinions and perceptions and how you're possibly judged lead you, because it is your life. It is not theirs. It is yours. So yeah. Oops, sorry, Summer. Take your power back. Sorry, buddy. Um, the mind, the thoughts, it feels urgent. Like I said, the intuition can feel urgent depending on the circumstance. Like I said, when it's time to leave a place, it can be urgent. Like, okay, it's time to go now, but it's not going to be an urgent in a scary way. It's going to be urgent in a calm way. But your mind is going to be urgent in a sense of forcing or chasing the next thought. It's like, okay, like, and I wish I could explain that better. I'm trying to think of an example because I deal with this sometimes often. It's forcing something versus calmly receiving it. Like if you notice, if you just calm yourself and just be present in life, your intuition speaks to you more loudly because you're present, you're open. And when you're present, you're able to receive because you're not living in the past, you're not living in the future, you're present, and God is able to speak to you based on summer. God is able to speak to you based on the here and the now, not about the past. Your thoughts are wasted on the past. The past has already moved on from you, babes. It's time for you to move on too. And I say that with love. The future is yet to exist. It literally is not happening at this moment. We don't know what tomorrow holds. So why is your mind there? Yes, I understand that some things, like let's say if your birthday is tomorrow, you're gonna want to plan stuff for your birthday. I get that. But like it's a difference between, like, okay, tomorrow I gotta go to work or tomorrow's my birthday. I want to do it. It's a difference between that and difference between like still being able to be present while keeping in mind, okay, tomorrow, but not living in anxiety of tomorrow or trying to control tomorrow, trying to force tomorrow, trying to figure everything out. I give everything to God. That was not always easy to do. Walking by faith and not by sight is scary. It is the scariest thing in the world sometimes, but it's no longer scary to me because I trust myself. In trusting myself, I trust God. In trusting God, I trust the natural flow of life. So yeah, leave space to calmly receive the message without searching. You don't need to search your intuition. You don't need to dig deeper into it. It's going to speak to you and it's going to be clear. It's up to you to listen. Your and I'm glad I added this too. Your mind can sometimes be louder than your intuition, especially if you're someone that lives in the mind like I did. I my I grew- I'm my bloodline has a lot of spiritual gifts. So my gifts were always shining, sometimes over the mind, even when I didn't realize it. But I spent a lot of my life living in my head and not in my body. So I was ignoring my intuition in some cases, even though, like I said, it never changed. Even when I ignored it, it never changed. Even if it took me years to finally see, I needed to listen to that. And that's, well, everything happens at its meant in the moment. But even if it's years down the line where I didn't listen to the intuition, that intuitive feeling is still going to be there. It can sometimes take you a while to get a grasp of it, but it's still going to be there. It does not change. Versus the mind, it changes. It can be like you're in a relationship. I can use a past relationship. For me, when I was in for years, one that taught me the most, it taught me the most wisdom, but took the most out of me at the same time. At least at that time, that's how I perceived it. I lost myself a little bit. And in the beginning, there were signs, and I ignored those signs. There were signs. I was still kind of young, 20, 21 ish, whatever. Wait, no, I think a little younger than that, maybe 20. Um, I ignored the signs, but I was meant to ignore those signs at that time because if it wasn't for me going through everything that I went through, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. But at the same time, I was not listening to my intuition. Like I said, everything happens as it is meant to. Everything in this present moment is as it should be, is as it's meant to be. And I know that. Just like everything was as it meant to be at that time. But I didn't listen to the signs that God was putting in my face. I didn't listen to my intuition of saying, no, this isn't it. You don't need to force this. You don't need to choose this. You don't need to be chosen for this because it's not choosing you for a reason. But I still went with it. And it led to the fact that my intuition was right. The signs were right. Like I said, it's never going to change. It's always going to be there. It's just going to take you getting out of your mind. It's going to go back and forth and try to convince you otherwise and finally trusting your heart. So, yeah, if you're disconnected from your body, um, and if you're disconnected from your self trust, intuition is a muscle. You build it by listening to yourself. It can be small decisions. What way to take home from work? Should I go out with this person or not? Should I tell this friend this information or not? Should I move here or not? It's the small decisions. Well, moving is not really a small decision, but you know what I mean. Um, what should I eat that day? Just listening to what your heart says, because your heart is always whispering to you. Like I said, it's the mind that goes back and forth. So exercise it like a muscle. If you don't always feel confident in what your heart is telling you, it's because you haven't exercised the muscle of trusting it. A lot of people, like I said, the world teaches you to live from the mind, to trust your mind and not your heart. And that's not by mistake, because society wants you stripped away from your inner God as much as possible. Because once you start to listen to your inner God, it drives you away from society in a sense, it drives you away from the matrix. So it wants you disconnected. So tell it when you see stuff, to be like, silence the heart, listen to your mind. Your heart doesn't know what it's saying. That's all a part of the process. That's the matrix, babes. Don't listen to it. Your heart knows what it needs. Your heart is your soul. Your heart is God. God is love. Love is God. Your heart is love. It just wants to experience life in love. And in the experiencing, I feel called to say this too. In the experiencing of life, you're not, everything is not always going to go your way. And everything can also go your way. You're going to experience grief. You're going to experience loss. You're going to experience joy. You're going to experience happiness. You're going to experience laughing so hard that your stomach hurts. You're going to experience crying so hard that your head hurts. All of these things are true. But if you don't open your heart up to those things, if you focus on, okay, I want to only experience joy. So anything that does not give me joy, or that possibly, here's the thing, that possibly can lead to pain, I don't want to put myself in. You're blocking yourself off from so much. And I did that. I did that. Blocking yourself off from pain is also blocking yourself off from love. Blocking yourself off from getting hurt is also blocking yourself off from joy. It's like never wanting to love your family because you're scared that you may lose them one day to death. We're all going to die. I say that with so much love. It doesn't change the fact. Everyone is walking around here with the expiration date. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next minute or the next hour. Seize the moment to live fully and to love everyone around you today. Tell someone that you love them. Go to that place you've been wanting to go. Do that thing. Be adventurous. Nothing is promised. Nothing lasts forever. But everything is a gift. Everything in life is a gift. And even the pain, even the grief. Because to experience grief, you had to love something. And to love something is beautiful. To love someone is beautiful. So I'll take all the grief in the world. Like there's this saying where I may butcher it. I may have said this in a previous episode too, and I think I said it in my last one, the last two maybe. Someone asked if you were able to experience the greatest love of all time, but it ended in grief or loss. It doesn't explain how it ends. It ends in grief or loss. That could just be death, which is inevitable. Would you still want to experience it? Some people said no because yes, the love is great, but why experience a love so great when you got to lose it? Me, I'm going to say yes every time, because to experience a great love that God has put into your heart and gifted you to experience is a gift. It is beautiful. I don't care what may happen years down the line. I don't care about 30 or 40 years from now. I want to experience this today. I deserve this today. Either way, the time is going to pass. Either way, we're all going to grow old. By the grace of God, live. So I kind of want to end it there. Well, actually, I have a quote that I seen today and it was beautiful. So I'm going to end it with this quote. What begins from the heart carries the potential to endure when it is separated by patience, intention, and consistent effort. Every decision made from self awareness rather than fear becomes another step towards the future you are consciously creating. Courage becomes wisdom when you stop waiting to feel completely ready and begin moving forward as the person your past has already prepared you to become. I just thought that was beautiful, and it goes hand in hand with intuition because it's listening to the heart and just moving even when the mind isn't always sure, even when the mind goes back and forth, because the mind is always going to do that unless you're unconscious. That's good. Well, even then, the mind is still, you're just not conscious of the thoughts are still there. So yeah, choose the heart. um Happy Thursday. I don't know if I'm going to post this today or Friday, but whenever day, whatever time, whatever moment, I hope this finds you in peace, in love, in harmony. And I hope that you know that you're safe to live from the heart. And I hope you know that you're worthy and deserving of beautiful love and everything simply for existing. You don't have to prove yourself to life. You don't have to prove yourself to love. You don't have to prove yourself to anything. You can just be, and great things can happen to you. And yes, you're worthy of it. No, it's not too good to be true. Yes, you deserve to be happy. Yes, you deserve to be loved. So, yeah, God bless.